What would happen to you, or what would happen to me, emotionally, spiritually, in our sense of self, if everything we worked for simply disappeared tomorrow? What a scary thought. What would happen to you or me, emotionally, spiritually, or in our sense of self, if everything we worked for simply disappeared tomorrow? No recognition, no legacy, no fruit you could point to. That's a heavy thought to address. This week on A Psalm for Today, we are speaking about the meaningfulness of work. In Psalm 90:17, it says, establish the work of our hands. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Moses wrote Psalm 90 after 40 years of wilderness leadership, no promised land yet, a whole generation had died in the desert, but he doesn't demand results. He simply asks God to receive his work, establish the work of our hands. That posture, that prayer, that position is what a guy named Augustine spent his life trying to understand. Saint Augustine, some people hear him called. I don't like to call people saints if I can help it, because nonetheless. Augustine of Hippo, as he's known, he gave us two texts that address this concept of meaningfulness in work without turning the results of our work into idols. He wrote one book. One is called The City of God, and another is called On the Work of Monks. He wrote more than that, but those are the two we're talking about today. Augustine was pushing back against kind of two errors in their area on culture and context. The first is called the Pelagian error, and that included the belief that significance comes through achievement. Significance comes through achievement. I am what I produce. On the flip side, Augustine was dealing with the ascetic error. The idea that real spiritual people don't get too invested in earthly work. So one is I am what I produce. The other error is work is beneath me. Augustine says that both of these are wrong, which I think we know. Work is genuinely good, but something can go wrong in the relationship between the worker and the work. Something can go deeply wrong in the relationship between the worker and the work. He famously calls it disordered love. The problem isn't work. The problem is what we demand from our work. So Augustine identifies what he thinks people most want from their work, and when we demand these from our work, we have made an idol of our work. Think about that for a minute. When we demand these things, according to Augustine, from our work, we have made our vocation, our work, an idol. Number one, he says, is security. Security. If I work hard enough, I will be safe. But work can't make us safe. Moses learned this in the wilderness. The manna came one day at a time. No stockpiling. God wasn't being mean and harsh and cruel. He was forming the people into a life of trusting God with the outcomes of their lives. In addition to the idea of safety and security, Augustine says meaning. My work has to matter. It has to be seen. It has to produce visible fruit. Augustine wrote in Confessions with really tough honesty. He spent decades seeking meaning through achievement. He tried rhetoric, philosophy, career, and every time he reached the summit, the restlessness returned. Because we are using work to answer a question about our worth that only God can answer. Meaning. My meaning cannot come from my work. My meaning must come from my God. So we have safety, we have meaning. Then, according to Augustine, we also have legacy. What I do needs to be remembered. My work needs to outlive me. Augustine recognized this as a true longing, a longing for eternity, placed on a false object. The desire to matter forever is real, but we cannot produce permanence. We can only receive it. We do not produce permanence. We only receive it from God. So when work is carrying the weight of security, meaning, and legacy, three things that Augustine identified, it will crush us, or it will become an addiction, because it was never designed to hold that. Augustine's most famous line, I think, is, "Thou madest us for thyself, and our heart is restless until it repose in thee." The restless heart. Viewers, me, all of us who are driven, every leader, every minister, every person who cannot stop working has a restless heart. And the question Augustine is asking is, in what direction is our restlessness moving? In what direction is our restlessness moving? By the way, I enjoy our psalm for today back here in my backyard ministry recovery center. I'm trying to learn to live at the speed of plants. But anyhow, in what direction is our restlessness moving us? Moses in Psalm 90 is restless. He's not in the promised land yet. People have died. It's been 40 years. But he's not against God. He's not restless against God. He's restless toward God. He is releasing the outcomes. You establish it, Lord. I've done my best. I've led 40 years in this wilderness. Only you can establish what you want from the work that I do. And in that release, the restlessness finds its proper object. The worker who cannot rest is not working too hard. They are trusting in the wrong direction. Today, I recommend that you and I think about a few questions. What would it mean to you or me if our work produced no visible fruit this week and you were still okay, still secure, still loved, still enough? Second, where in your work are you demanding something that only God can give? Security? Validation? Proof that your life mattered? 3, can you pray Moses' prayer? Not make my work successful, but simply receive the works of my hands. Establish the work of our hands. I entrust it to you, God. I release it. Augustine is not asking you to care less about your work. He's asking you to carry it differently. Let God bear the weight your work was never designed to hold. Lord, we confess that we have asked our work to do what only you can do. We have demanded security from our work. We have demanded meaning from it. We have demanded legacy from our work. Today, we release those demands. We offer the work of our hands, not our achievements, but our faithfulness, not our outcomes, but our obedience. Establish the work of our hands, O God, not for our